Here is a list of 10 things that I consider to be very important when buying a restaurant or business in the state of California. Hi, this is Tony Cord of the Innate Group, and today I thought I'd try something different, working on the patio in Hermosa Beach. Today's topic is going to be the top 10 considerations of purchasing a restaurant, or for that matter, any business in the state of California. The first thing on my list would be, and this may be directed more at first-time buyers, is to have passion, because it is going to be a tough, competitive ride all the way, and you better damn well like what you're about to do or take on. Number two is to really understand both your business model moving forward and the business model of the business that you're buying. You need to understand how that business works. Where does the income, how is it generated? Where does it come from? What are the expenses? What are you going to be doing differently? You need to understand the business model. Can this business make money? What are the risks, the downsides, etc.? The third thing to consider is how you're going to own this, what your form of ownership will be for this. These days it doesn't make a lot of sense to do sole proprietorships. It makes a lot more sense to have limited liability companies, limited liability partnerships, corporations, and other forms of legal entities for tax purposes, liability protection, and so on. So you want to really understand what your form of ownership will be and determine it rather early on here. Another advantage to having a limited liability company or corporation is that it's a nice vehicle to bring in investor money. These days, a lot of these deals, even if it's a restaurant in the South Bay, require a lot of capital, and oftentimes, in fact, more often than not, people buying restaurants are typically investors coming in through limited liability companies or corporations. So it's a nice vehicle for bringing in investor money. Number four, you really need to understand the lease that you're about to commit to. It's probably the biggest obligation for most of these deals because it can go on. It doesn't really end. You just can't bounce out typically. So you really want to understand the lease. On the plus side of it, it's very possible a lot of these deals today are reassignments of leases. And the good news about this is that those leases may have locked in lease rates that are way below market value. I'm doing deals all the time where this is the case, and the effective value of this can be significant, which may, of course, impact the price that you're paying. You want to understand the lease, what you're getting into, and look for the plus side of it. Try to keep it positive. Number five is price, of course. You've got to understand the price, what the components of the deal are. It may be more than just the dollar amount that you're paying, so you need to understand all the terms and conditions of your agreement. You have to nail down the price. And as I mentioned earlier, the lease value could be something that contributes to a higher value or a lower value in the lease. It's a consideration that you really need to be on top of. Number six is to reject the liabilities. You don't want to take on the liabilities of a company. And this is an important issue because with some government agencies you have succeeding company obligations. So if they have a debt, for example, with the Employment Development Department or the Board of Equalization, that may become your debt at the end of the day. We want to get clearances. You want to make sure that you don't assume any of the liabilities of the company. These days it's standard, but you just want to be sure you're not getting anything. You want to make sure you look in the closets. There's no skeletons. You want to make sure everything's cleared out and that everything's good. Next up are the guarantees. Chances are most landlords here in the South Bay for sure, and I'm no doubt thinking in other parts of the state of California or in the country, are going to require personal guarantees on the leases. Be prepared for this. Know what you're getting into with these guarantees. In addition, there might be leases for other pieces of equipment or other something else with the company. So understand what you're guaranteeing when you're getting into these deals. Number eight, use an escrow. As it turns out in California, it's a state law and an ABC regulation that you have to use an escrow if there's a transfer of a beer and wine license or a liquor license. But there are so many advantages to having an escrow. First of all, it's a third party who's holding the money, and the money will only be distributed when certain terms and conditions are met. In a California escrow, when there's a liquor license involved, the escrow can't close and money can't be distributed until that license is transferred. So you want to use an escrow for that. You also want to consider that the escrows do lien searches, so you understand what liens might be on the property, and then also they do what's called a bulk sale notice transfer, or transfer notice rather, and in that case what they do is they're letting creditors know that they're are significant assets of a company for sale, and it's an opportunity for them to step up and figure out if there's anything that they need to do, any steps they need to take to get their hands in on the money. So use an escrow. It's a great clearinghouse for all of this, the liabilities, all these other obligations. It settles things on the terms and conditions, and it's a third party. It's a safe holding ground for the money. Number 9 is to identify your contingencies. These may include lease negotiation contingencies. You want to make sure you get a lease that everybody's in agreement with. Secondly, might be the transfer of certain licenses. Maybe it's getting permits. Whatever it might be, whatever the entitlements may be, you want to make darn sure that you nail down your contingencies and that it's crystal clear and laid out in the agreement and in the escrow instructions for the deal. All right, that's a long laundry list. I get it. Number 10, if you can, you really should try to have fun with all this. It's a tough, long journey, but it could be very well worth it. The rewards can be tremendous. Have fun with it. Just have a good time with this. It's tough. There's a lot of things in here. Hire the professionals to help you through each of the steps, whether it's transferring a liquor license, for example, negotiating a lease deal, working out accounting issues, tax issues, whatever it might be. Bring in the professionals. Try to let them worry about all that so that you can enjoy this ride and be prepared for the next step, which is, of course, getting the business up and going. Good luck with everything. Hang in there. Have a good time with this. That's it for now. I'll see you next time. Thank you. So you just saw my list of what I think are 10 very important considerations when buying a restaurant, or for that matter, a business in the state of California. At the end of the day, you've got to have fun with this, so make it work for you. Next time, I will take a deeper look into the escrow process, a very important element of purchasing a business, especially in the state of California.